Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Obviously, that big incident at Stamford Bridge with West Ham's equaliser being ruled out in 91st minute. So I thought, what happens if you remove the cloud and blue specs and then look at it from a neutral's perspective? But not only that, I've got one step further. And I thought, what happens if we ask a former Premier League referee for his opinion on it? Mark, take it away. What's your view of the whole incident?
I was rather surprised, to be fair, that VAR got involved in that incident. It's not a clear and obvious error. It's not even an error for me. I think that Mendy's come out. He's come out to block the ball. He's palmed the ball out. Bowen's trying to take evasive action and jump over the keeper and catches him on somewhere on the arm. Personally, I thought that the VAR. I think it was Jared Gillett. Should never ever got involved in that situation. For me, it's not a foul. It's a shocking decision, really. And it'd have been nice to see Andy Madley do what Michael Oliver done today. In the Nottingham Forest Bournemouth game, there was a clear handball, and VAR recommended a review. And I just don't understand why he's recommending a review on that incident, because it was a blatant handball which Michael called correctly. And it was really good to see Michael stick with his original decision, because it was a clear handball. Now, it would have been nice to see, Andy Madley stick with his original decision, because, he's in a fantastic position. He's right in front of it. And it's never a foul on the goalkeeper. Mendy stayed on the floor. He knew exactly what he was doing. And when he was holding his shoulder or the side of his chest, he didn't catch him there. So, he was, for me, I think he was feigning an injury.
I've got a few questions from you from a fan's perspective here. Going by what you've just said there about how Michael Oliver has sort of listened to VAR, gone and checked it for himself and stuck with his original decision, something that we don't see too often. There's now a bit of a theory, which is when the referee goes to the monitor, we know what's going to happen. That is getting overturned. Do you think there's a problem with Premier League referees today, in the sense that their colleague and possibly someone higher up the pecking order in the table of referees, if you like, or in their ear saying that's a foul, and they feel obliged to almost go with their colleague? Because obviously if they go to the monitor like Michael's done and say, I'm sticking with my decision, he's very publicly disagreeing with whoever's in the VAR room.
Well, they're just there to recommend review. And yes, and you're correct that, we never see a referee stick with his original decision, because they are told, if they go to the monitor, they go up. Now, on this instance, it'd be interesting. I wonder if Michael Oliver will get a talking to. But Michael Oliver, on this occasion, was absolutely correct to stick with his original decision of a deliberate handball by the Bournemouth defender. So it'd be nice to see Andy Madley have that mental toughness to do the same, because for me, when you look at it, even you've been recommended a review by the VAR. Even when you're looking at that, I just don't know how he can see a foul, because it is not a foul. The keeper Mendy is coming into Bowen's domain. It's not Bowen going into him. The keeper come out to block the ball. He parries it, pushes it out, and then, as I said, Bowen's trying to take evasive action. And for me, David Moyes quite rightly agreed at that decision, and it cost West Ham a point. I watched the game, and as soon as I saw it, I thought that's a goal. That's a goal. And when I didn't have to see a replay, but when I did see the replay, I just think, what have they seen?
Just speaking about how David Moyes there, right?
It's disappointing, because it's disappointing. It's disappointing, obviously, because Andy Madley. He's right there. He's right in front of us. He's in a great position. There's no clear and obvious error. So I just don't know what the VAR operatives look at. I think it's a shocking decision. I really do.
Obviously, you mentioned David Moyes there, very publicly released the decision. Yeah, and Declan Rice has since tweeted out about the decision as well. What's it like as a referee when you're getting publicly called out for decisions that you've made on the pitch? Because obviously, I think sometimes we're maybe forgetful that they're still human beings at the end of the day. So what is it like in regards to sort of the pressure and how the referee will be feeling after the later on in the evening when he hears, Moyes and Declan Rice, high-profile people calling out his decision?
Well, I'd like to think that I would have made a decision like that. Yes, listen, we're human, we do make errors, but not on that scale. That's not that shouldn't have even been an error. It wouldn't have been an error if VAR hadn't got involved. Yeah, listen, when it does happen, and you do make a key match, you have a key match, and you're perceived to make a big error. It does hurt you. It does hurt, and it hurts your feelings, and you go back and you analyse and you analyse and you analyse, go over it and go over it, and just like the managers do with their players' performance. Referees do the same. And I like to think if they go home, this decision clearly hands up and saying, listen, we got this wrong, or I'd like to hear what the PGMOL or what excuse the PGMOL come out with regarding this incident.
Right, Mark, now this one might seem a little bit only because you're a West Ham fan, but a part of the fan base feels that if it was down the other end, for example, Chelsea scored the last-minute equaliser, them being like a Super 6 team and being at Stamford Bridge as well, that perhaps the goal would have stood. So not necessarily asking you as a referee, but perhaps now since you've stepped away from the game, you're looking at it from perhaps a different perspective than you were when you were on the pitch. How do you think and feel when fans suggest that it might have stood had it been the other way around?
Yeah, no, listen, you never question a referee's integrity. A referee goes out and referee what's in front of him, and he gives things as he see it. So it doesn't make any difference whether it's you're at the home, whether it be Chelsea, Man United, Newcastle, Liverpool, Everton, all Manchester United, all the big clubs are all big clubs in the league. And as I say, as a referee, he's mentally tough, mentally strong, and you just give what's in front of you. And when you are refereeing, to be fair, you don't really hear the crowd because you're focused. You're so focused and concentrating on what you're doing, you really don't hear what's going on from the crowd. And you do, and when the game stops, because you just switch off at that moment. But when the game's going, you just cannot switch off. And as I say, you never question the referee's integrity with things like that. That doesn't come into the equation at all.
I've probably got like 3 questions in one for the next bit, but it's your thoughts on VAR, because obviously it was introduced after that you were finished. So I guess what's your thoughts on VAR? Is it simply just being used incorrectly on days like today? And do you look back and wish you had VAR to hand, so when there was big calls to be made, you could double check? Or are you glad that you weren't part of this?
I wouldn't want VAR coming on decisions like today, that's for sure. I tell you, I was called over to review that today. I would have been going ballistic, like I imagine Michael Oliver was at Nottingham Forest today. Listen, VAR for me is here to stay. I think it's good as long as it's implemented correctly. And at present, we're seeing in the Premier League that it's not being implemented correctly. It's all about the leadership, the training and education of all the VAR operatives. And now you can see why VAR is not being, VAR operatives are not in the World Cup from the UK. And you can see why on performances like today.
One final question before I let you go. Now I know the answer to this. When we did a brief, we linked up after the Fulham game when Thomas Souček got sent off in the last minute, and you came on. And when we were off air, we spoke about a quote that's been attributed to you for years, and it was false. So I'm going to bring the quote up, and then you can tell me whether the quote's true or not. I know what it is.
You don't need to. It's come up about about 8 or 9 years ago, and it's totally false. All right, it's absolutely some keyboard warrior, some absolute. I'm not going to say the word, but there's nothing more to be said about it.
I see you almost every day on Twitter replying to someone denying it's true, and then the next day I'll see somebody putting up going, "Oh well, no wonder about the Premier League. Look at this," and even I'm like, "It's not true." I get so easy.
It's so easy for a keyboard warrior to sit behind a keyboard and do things like that. Absolutely, as I say, it was police were involved at the time, so I'm trying to locate who the source, but obviously never found. So listen, there's some idiots out there. We know that. So.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify for you watching that quote was completely made up and untrue. But Mark, listen, thank you very much for giving up your time once again and popping on. Massively appreciate it. And I guess I say clearing up. I feel it was quite obvious the goal should have stood, but there's always that it's because you're a West Ham fan aspect thrown at you. So to hear it from a former Premier League referee as well sort of verifies our opinion. So I massively appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well,
Mark.
to clear it up, I'm not a West Ham fan. I'm a QPR. I'm a QPR fan. So there we go. Okay.
Well, at least you've got Michael Beale now. Things are looking up at Loftus Road. Good manager. Good appointment.
We lost today 1-0, so we've got to get that consistency in our performances. So,
well, Mark, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you guys at home have enjoyed the video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll catch you in a bit.